Okay, thank you very much. Well, you're never going to guess who's next. Bruce.
Hopefully, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, the great part is I got to do my intro on his time, so perfect, right? Yeah, I have a luxurious 10 seconds per slide, so hey, you know, I'm just going to cruise through here. Basically, again, I wanted to just highlight some of the stuff that's on my website and some of the sort of interesting concepts that you might want to dive into in more detail if you find it interesting. In fact, each slide has the name of the presentation down there on the bottom left there, so if you want to kind of look at it, feel free to do that. This is a Postgres architecture diagram. I use this a lot when I'm trying to explain how Postgres is set up and how the process-based part of Postgres works, how the sort of helper functions at the bottom work, and then sort of in detail in the green area, sort of how the parser and the optimizer and the executor kind of work together to run your program, because if you don't understand the details of that, it's really hard to do performance measurements and sort of understand what a prepared statement does and all that sort of internal stuff. You have to have a visual to really kind of get a handle on it. The second slide is actually one where I highlight the process nature of Postgres. The pink area is the shared memory area. That's how Postgres communicates among sessions. But a lot of the code, a lot of the data is stored in that yellow area, which is a sort of process or session local area that you use just to store, local state for that particular session. I could spend 20 minutes on this slide. It basically shows a whole bunch of things. It shows what a checkpoint is. It shows what crash recovery it is. It explains what the shared buffer cache does. It explains what fsync does. This is a blow-up of the earlier slide, and again, if you're trying to understand what the parser does, the optimizer, and the executor, this is the place you want to look. This is an unreadable slide, which effectively shows you what Postgres is doing internally to run a query. If you blow it up, you can actually see the various stages and the various fields that are filled in, like the name of the table you're referencing, the where clause, the target list, and so forth. This is a cool slide because it shows you the optimizer making a decision based on how frequent a particular value is in a table. So the red area are very frequent values. It does a sequential scan. The blue area are middle frequent values. It does a bitmap heap scan. And the bottom are fairly rare values, and it does an index scan, and this whole happens automatically for you. And I usually show this to highlight how the optimizer is helping you as an application developer so you don't have to figure these things out. It does it automatically when you send the query to the server. This is a cool slide. It actually shows you what a deadlock looks like. I've almost never seen one, so I was excited to actually see it. This is one session deadlocking on another session. Of course, Postgres has a timer that cancels the deadlock session. This is from the MVCC talk. It explains how Postgres uses creation and expire values on rows to indicate which rows should be expired and which rows are visible to which sessions. This is a larger example of that. This is a blow-up of how Postgres stores data, particularly a Postgres data page. This is near and dear to my heart, how PG upgrade works. Some people don't like to look at it. It's like watching sausage be made, but it is actually the way that it operates. Again, another PG upgrade slide. This explains how continuous archiving works. Again, having a visual to show people what is going on is really helpful. This explains crash recovery. This explains streaming replication. And this explains streaming replication with the network diagram, as well as an archive directory that's used for cases where the standby is disconnected for a long period of time. This is a cool diagram related to a combination of the use of PG pool and streaming replication, actually a very powerful case where you put two things together and you get effectively a greater capability than you do of the two individually. Very important for read scaling. This is sharding. We're working on that. This is hardware selection and how you have to really focus on I/O when you're configuring a server, then memory, then CPU. This is sort of talking about how foreign data wrappers, extensions, and NoSQL kind of all work together with data warehousing to make Postgres the center of your data center. This explains how the containment operator works for a whole bunch of different data types. And this is the Postgres system catalogs. This is a common table expression. And this is a security talk about how to use certificates. And that, I think, is the last slide, except it's not advancing. So thank you.